Ebushafo mamunyana akwaba eba HRTV so jumedia ya tuni this time with tap saying most for HRFPK me name wo ene ba be twetwe nkomo kese um ene yenya special guest bi ene ba be di nkomo na afedie ya hwe kwan ya be fa so etu yebusuafo ene ya adofo nyina for when it comes to how to actually make a journey to the medical school. Due to the audience we have today, I'll just switch over to English so that everybody can understand what I'm saying. But before I do that, let me go ahead. And my microphone is blocking the Sussex today, so let me turn my microphone down a little bit. There you go. So just so you know, I should not won today, so I just have to rep my Jay-Z for my team. All right, so today we will be talking to Angel Premper, a medical student, in terms of his journey and how to motivate others and also make them better. But answer the question, you be J Krato efi aboafo on same na fede ya schedule be na say kama and they be quick, short, sweet and simple. Aboafo aso ya sene aye di dwumedie ebramo teacher no dikan any feel good services. Feel good services are Darman when it comes to mental health education or mental health speeches, like anything that has to do with leveling your education in terms of mental health. Please see no further or look no further than feelgoodservices@gmail.com. All right. Feel good services will say they feel good homes. Aba, when it comes to if you're looking for building customized homes for individuals, when it comes to apartments, they have locations at Pokwase and also East Legon Hills. In case you're looking for some places like that in terms of buying an apartment or renting or actually Airbnb, feel good services, feel good homes now become for the number to call is 513-372-5758 and also Ghana number near +233-208-149-504. Contact this number in terms of getting all those great deals when it comes to where you want to sleep. For instance, starting on Friday, the All African Games is hosted in Ghana. So, there's a lot of people in Ghana right now trying to, enjoy these games. And also, if you're going on any vacation in Ghana, look no further about Feel Good Homes. The next sponsor on our bill is Happy Glow GH. Pedicure, manicure, cosmetics, facials, eyebrow, eyelash, threading, waxing, acrylic nails, designs, whatever you want to do in terms of, getting your beauty pronounced. Please see no further about, look no further about Happy Glow GH. Located at Shaman Estate, 20 meters away from the community hospital, right opposite Veggies and Grill. The number to contact is +233-594-710-391. Also, let me talk to you about Oswald Wellness Clinic or Oswald Wellness LLC. In case you're looking for a family nurse practitioner, IV hydration, primary care, or a weight management personnel, or how to manage your weight, which is one of the topics that we'll be treating here pretty soon as well. Please, in case you are located in Maryland and Ohio, those are the two places that they are licensed at. So in case you're looking for their services, please call them at 513-268-2740 and they will take care of you in terms of all those aspects. Then I would also like to introduce Fighting Financial Ignorance in America. Please contact Millicent at 937-321-2270 or 937-270-9882. In terms of creating generational wealth, flexible work from home business, avoiding GoFundMe in your community. In terms of something happens, you already got yourself set up apart so that you can actually have a good life, and also big plans for your family before the unforeseen circumstances happen. Income protection, college fund and plans, and also financial freedom, as well as formula for building wealth. Please contact Millicent. She will take care of you when it comes to that. And the last but not least is TapTapSend. TapTapSend, proud sponsors of this event, this program, and also is the fastest, the secured, and most reliable way to send money back home. Zero fee. And basically, if you do download from the App Store or the Google Play Store, on your first transaction, just apply the promo code and you will get $15 on your first transaction. Please, on your first transaction, not after your first transaction. On your first transaction, just apply the promo code PK, P-KAY or HRE, and you will be getting the $15 bonus to send on your first transaction. It's easy, it's fast, and it's also secured. And the rate is doing superb. As of right before the show, we're at 12.55. Last week, before we came on the show, we had 12.31, and today is at 12.55. So you can see how progressive it keeps getting better and better and better value for your money. With that being said, I'm going to call upon Director David for him to give us any updates with TapTapSend. Then right after that, we're going to introduce our speaker for the night, Angel, to talk to us when it comes to the journey to medical school. Dr. David, over to you.
Hi, good evening, everybody, for making the time. Thank you so much. We know it's Monday, 6 o'clock. There's so much things you could be doing with your lives, but thanks so much for coming. Thanks so much for having us. PK, the team again. I see we have 24 people and we just started, so thank you so much. But I'm not going to be long-winded because I'm sure Angel has a ton to share with us on from writing the MCAT to whatever path he took to get to medical school. So I'm not going to take so much of your time. But for highlights for TapTaps, and as PK said it, we aggressively trying to improve the rates, which we did. I think there was a marginal uptick from 12.38 or 12.32 last week to 12.55. So as we indicated before, when the rates are good, we publish it and we share as much as we can. So again, thank you for being part of the journey with us. We had a great February, and we're looking forward to even a stronger March with your support. So again, thank you. One thing that PK mentioned I would like to highlight is historically there are people that would we use, let's say, PK's code and go, oh, I wanted to do a test run and I used $1 and it didn't go through. I used $1 to test, so now I'm ready to send my $100, and why am I not getting the code? We heard you, and now we fixed that. So in the next coming days, maybe not weeks, we'll be able to update the code whereby when you do your test transaction of $1 or $2, the code will not be active until you send the threshold. So for example, if the threshold is $20, if you send $2 or $7, the code will not be activated. But once you send $20, the $20 adds to your original 20, making it 40. Indeed, I know we decided to speak English most of the show. Make sure you so without more anti-comfort bump, when you want by thank you so much. So not to be long with it, PK, back to you. I think we're going to go ahead and talk about how we get to medical school, which is, I think, is a beautiful topic for us to discuss. And why should people even go to medical? So if that's the right path. So PK, right back to you.
All right, thank you very much, Director, for the quick updates with TapTapSend. Again, big shout out to our producer, Director Nana Lord, for making this happen, and also Danny and A-Class as well. Once again, big thanks to you all for coming on the show tonight. Please take this opportunity to invite your friends, your families, for them to hear this the first time, instead of you going back to give them the information and probably taking some vital information out of it. For those of you listening because you're driving or maybe you're at work, thank you very much for taking time out of your busy schedule to do so. And those of you that are gathered on Facebook and YouTube as well as Zoom, God bless you all for coming. At this point, let me turn over to incoming doctor or medical doctor candidate, Angel Premper. Angel, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. How about you?
Outstanding, man. Good to have you with us. And also, I'm so excited to see how best this is going to turn out.
Good to be here. And thank you very much for having me. So I'm really excited too.
Thank you. Wow. So Angel, let's go ahead and just, delve right into it. All right. Medical school. First of all, let's look at medical school. I want us to look at the overview of medical school. When we say medical school, a lot of people hear doctors. There's so many different types of doctors that we have. We have the academias, we have the honorees, and we have the professionals, and so, tell us a little bit about medical school, just the overview about medical school. And after that, we're going to look into why medical school. And also, I know there's some myth concerning medical school. So let's go ahead and clear that myth out of the way. Then we can look into, because you being African, Ghanaian to be specific, right? There is a notion that every father, mother wants the kid to become doctor. Just right before the show, my two older daughters came to me, and I'm like, "What do you guys want to do in the future?" They've already told me before. They'll pull up the flyer. I want to be a doctor, and then the second one goes like, "I want to be a doctor too." I'm like, "Why do you want to be a doctor?" She was like, "I'll tell you after the show." So the question is, this person said they want to be IT. That next one said I want to be a lawyer. Now I'm getting two people telling me that they want to be doctors. I'm not the type that want to impose what kids supposed to be doing, but coming from the African spectrum, this is what either you become a nurse or you become a doctor, or basically something that is going to be for the purpose of being lucrative. But again, people don't understand that there is a more that becomes when we become a doctor. Standbys, the on call, and all those stuff that takes you away from the family. So please break the bread and let's have a good feast. Over to you.
Yeah. Oh, PK, well, thank you very much for having me. I think so. I think there's a mix of people over here too. So, me from Angel. My name is Angel. Me free Ghana, yo more Ghana, and me ba America. Almost 10 years now. So my name is Angel. I was born and raised in Ghana. I moved to the United States been in the United States for about 10 years now. And PK, to your first question, medical school, what entirely is medical school? So basically, I'm sure everybody at this point in their lives have had some kind of interaction with a doctor before. So medical school is basically a pathway to kind of train to be a doctor. And it differs a little bit depending on where you're from. So Ghana medical school is a lot different from America medical school. For in Ghana per se, we high school per not what called college, no call university into university no. We had 6 years medical school, no area, no graduate, na yama degree no. And no, usually I move for an MBBS, which is Masters in Science, Masters in Biology, and Master in Surgery, Bachelor's in Biology and Master in Surgery. Into no more additional training become home. And then later on, if they want to subspecialize on my subspecialize it. But in America, the pathway is a lot longer, and honestly, it's a lot difficult in America. Because first of all, once you're done with high school, you have to go to college. And so once you're in college, you have to do 4 years of bachelor. So you can basically do any degree that you want to do. But most often, it's really important that you do a science-related degree. So maybe biochemistry degree, biology degree, chemistry, anything that's like science related is usually helpful. I have a lot of peers that did a lot of different things like engineering, art, law, and other things like that. But most of the times, you have to take a specific amount of courses. That is like the biology, chemistry, math, and all the basic sciences, in order to be even considered for medical school. Nti ɛno no America ha no we college now we were 4 years now and sana waba apply, but before that no you were big test be also a truck compo TV because they're from the MCAT, and I'm sure a lot of people, somebody mentioned it before I hopped on, which is a test about it's about an 8-hour test. And so it's very, very daunting. It's a very like almost over 200 questions. You're sitting there, you go in this daytime. By the time you head out, it's really, really dark outside. So, but then it's basically a measure of, of other things that you've studied all over the 4 years. So we have a science portion, we have a biology portion. They even have an English portion to kind of test your reading and comprehension skills. Now they consider other factors, so GPA, research, Hawaii or undergrad, a whole lot of other things. Now, put together a whole nice application. Then you send it over to them. Then they look at the application before you are admitted to medical school. Then once you're admitted, you go through 4 years of training. And son or graduate, like I said, MD.
Okay, so let's backtrack a little bit before we even, now that you've given us the prerequisites for you to go even get to medical school now, let's backtrack a little bit from at what age. I want us to look at what age should you start prepping your kids or yourself, if you want to go to medical school? At what age? Because sometimes you have to probably get the grades ready. Secondly, the interest must be there. And so at what age do we start getting there? Also, why medical school? I want us to look into the nitty gritties before. I want us to look to the surface before we really go to the nitty gritties, and also really delve so deep into it. So now that you've given the prerequisites, let's backtrack a little bit. Then we're gonna jump that hurdle when we get there. So, what age should we start looking into getting our kids ready or getting ourselves ready for medical school? That would make it more easier for the journey.
Sure. Thank you very much for that question, PK. So I think initially you mentioned that, especially coming from an African household, it's basically ingrained in us a lot that, you basically have people laugh at this, but it's really true that you basically have three or four options. Either you're going to be a doctor, a lawyer, an engineer, or a disappointment to the family, right? And it's a common thing. A lot of Africans are like, it's like you got to be. These are your options that you have to be. But there's a lot of people that are in medicine that are not happy because they had that parental pressure or other things like that. They're smart, obviously, and they can do they can understand the coursework and take on the rigor of the coursework. But then eventually, it's not necessarily something they wanted to do, and they went through it with parental pressure. So even think before we go into what age should you start, prepping your kids for it. I feel like the point where we should start from is that does your kid want to be into this thing? And I think before you even make that decision, it's important to expose them to that environment because you can't be what you can't see, right? Like they might have heard what a doctor is, but they don't really have any idea about it. So especially if they're in like I think right now probably like grade school, where they can read and write, probably grade 9, high school level. You could potentially schedule like a shadowing with any doctor in your community. And so basically you go online, you look at doctors around the area, you can look up, and I did this too. You can email them and be like, hey, my name is so and so, my daughter or my son is interested in, being a doctor or thinking about being a doctor. Would it be okay if I shadow you for a day or two? And, you get a lot of no's, obviously, but then once in a while you get a yes. And a lot of people have done that before. And just going to the hospital, following the doctor around, seeing their day-to-day schedule, what it takes, the number of patients they're seeing, like, the changes in mood. Because you can go from one room, telling a patient that, oh my God, you have a terminal cancer. And then, you hopping into the other room and it's like, oh my God, this is a great news. It's just a really complex range of emotions you have to go through just being a doctor. And so just seeing that for yourself, I think really opens up somebody's eyes to be like, okay, this is actually what I want to do. And this is actually what I want to go into. And so, yeah, even before you think about that, I think that's the first start to see, to go through with it. Me personally, in Ghana, we're like, okay, you got to go to high school. And then I did high school in Ghana as well. I went to Prempeh College. Shout out to all the Amalfas over here.
Oh my goodness.
But we did science. And initially, I wasn't really sure if I wanted to be a doctor or not. But, just from my exposure to the medical field, a couple of my family got sick. I went to the hospital. I'm like, it felt so helpless to some degree. I'm like, why is this happening? And as you're growing, you're becoming exposed to the internet. You're seeing a lot of things online. You're watching movies and you're seeing Grey's Anatomy. I'm like, this is not normal. What when you think it's normal, you go to the hospital, you see like pregnant women laying around somewhere, they're not being taken care of. Somebody coming in wailing and they're like, doctor's not around. It's like it really like leaves a mark in somebody. So I think for me, that's particularly where I kind of drew my inspiration from and kind of started on the journey. But everybody's case is different, honestly, and I've heard a lot of different cases from other people. So, if you think about, if your son might be interested in going into medicine in general, I think that's a very great place to start to have them shadow and actually see the medical field for themselves.
Should we force our kids to go into medicine?
Um, Absolutely.
And I use the word force because you know where I'm coming from.
I'm really cautious about my answer right now because in some cases, some kids need a little push to see, what they could be, right? So forcing in general and, pushing somebody when they're not clearly not interested, it's just obviously not a good thing. But then, like I said, I speak to a lot of people from different backgrounds, and some people are like, I wasn't even thinking about this, but my dad actually was really like focused and very education oriented, and they were like, okay, let's do this, let's do that. I'm going to take you over here. You're going to go to summer camp. You're going to go shadow Dr. So and so. So by doing that, that even like brought them up, and later they came around and be like, oh, I actually didn't think I liked this, but then I liked this. So not necessarily forced, but I feel like if you feel in general that your kid might be a little bit inclined to it, I think medicine is a great field. I think we need a lot of doctors. There's always a shortage for doctors. And I think back to the initial question, the reason why a lot of Africans push for, their children to be one of these physicians, that it comes with job security, right? We're always going to need doctors. It comes with this job security. There's a lot of layoffs and other things like that go on with different fields, but it wouldn't really affect medicine for a very, very, very long time to come. So,
and also it kind of gives it a status acclamation. Oh, my son is a doctor. Or this is that. This is my son. I'll be talking to you about. Yeah, the surgeon. Yeah, that's him right there.
Absolutely.
My daughter is a dentist. Like that's basically. So Africans, we always want to have that self acclamation when it comes to how proud we are of our kids, and also how much they're doing. Not necessarily to rub it in people's face to let them know your son is not doing well, but my son is doing better. So now that you've broken it down, right? On two school of thoughts, right? One school of thought has a situation whereby mom and dad are both doctors. Three kids, they all decided to go into medical school because they saw how things were going. Another school of thought, mom and dad are both doctors. And two of the kids, none of them want to become doctors. Because one, they see how stressed it is. Mom is always gone, dad is always gone. Every 30 minutes, there's a phone call. You have to come to the hospital. Is it always the case? Or it's just because there's so much different fields in medicine? That is why. Because a lot of people think, oh, you're a doctor, oh, you're a doctor. So it's like the way Johnny's dad is going through those kind of stress is going to be the same thing if I have to do it. So I would like you to break it down to us, the different types of fields that we have in medicine, and also before you go break it down to us with the two school of thoughts that we talked about, is it too late for anybody to go to medical school, so far as they have the time and the head to do it? Is it ever too late? So you can answer that quick, then you can jump into the different aspects of medicine.
Definitely not. I think somebody I know right now in my class, she is 47. So and I know people that are like almost in their 50s or in their 50s that are just starting medical school. So it's never too late. I think there was a couple of weeks ago there was an article about this mechanic. He's been a mechanic all his life, and then he just turned 52, and then he decided to go be a doctor, and he just finished up. So especially in America over here, being a doctor is definitely a good investment, I believe. So definitely there's not a time limit. There's not a time cut that, oh, your time has passed. You can't be it anymore. As long as you're able, as long as you want to go into it, 100%, anybody else can, start the prerequisites and get into the process and enroll into medical school to be a doctor.
Beautiful.
Yeah. To your second question, it's definitely an interesting topic that people see their parents, and some people are, oh my God, this is absolutely what I want to do. And some people see their parents and they're like, I will never ever go towards this ever again. And in situations like that, I think it very much, like you said, it depends on the specialty that they're mostly used to. Most specialties in medicine, we call it road specialties. So they're the lifestyle specialties, right? Radiology, ophthalmology, anesthesia, and dermatology, ROAD, road. And these are like you work relatively less hours, but the compensation is also very, very good. So imagine, say, somebody is like a dermatologist. They're working, say, regular 9 to 3, no corner Juma 9, not 3 or home. It's basically less stress. You're not dealing with any emergency. You'll be out about home because, oh my God, I had a brain bleed or anything like that. You're just seeing rashes, and not to downgrade it or anything like that. It's a very, very difficult specialty to get into. But then it's very stress-free. And at the end of the day, I think the median salary for that is around like 400,000 to half a million. So it's definitely like, okay, who said it? Nema, Missy, enjoy. You know, absolutely. Why wouldn't I want to go into something like that? But then there's also very stressful specialties, let's say emergency surgery, OBGYN, where they can call you at like 3 a.m. You know, somebody just came in and it's a trauma, and you go in and it's, and it's a trigger warning. It was like somebody's arm is just broken and it's just splattered all over. And you basically have to be on call for certain periods of time. When you're on call, you can only be like within the confidence of the hospital, within the confines of the hospital. It's like very, 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 very stringent, you know. But then relatively compared to like dermatology, you don't even get compensated as much. So it's very, very stressful in that field. So when people see that, of course, they're like, "Oh my goodness, I cannot do anything like this." And and even still in medical school, people go through this, and we rotate through all the specialties. And there's some specialties that I see that I'm like, I cannot do this at all. Like, I want to be a doctor, but this field is not for me. I cannot see myself doing that at all. Just looking at the sheer stress that it entails and the demand of it alone is just a lot. So yeah, I think it's a tale of two worlds, right? Like, people see, and in some cases people see that and they're like, this is what I love. I love the adrenaline. I like to go in. I like to see that somebody's hand is broken. I put it together right away. Some people love it. They're like, okay, I see somebody's coming in. They're not well. I put them back together, and obviously they're going home really healthy, and that brings me joy, and that's my passion. So you can't really narrow it to a black and white answer, but then overall, I feel like it all comes down to what you see yourself doing and what you want your life to look like in general, in terms of your family, managing your kids, managing your life in general.
All right. Wow. So I'll please ask each and everyone to start, piling up the questions. And those of you on Facebook, just put your questions in the comment box, and I'm gonna ask for you. Zoom, go ahead and just type in your questions. Once we get closer to the borderline, I'm gonna open up for people to actually unmute themselves and add any questions that they have. And also ask any questions that they have, or maybe if there's a contribution, quick one for people to ask. So now that we've seen the basic understanding of medical school and how it works and operates, I mean, I know that you did talk about the road for the different types of aspect of medicine, but I didn't hear much of the surgeons, and I didn't hear much of the what do you call it? Those that work on orthopedics, right? That's what those that works on bones and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So after the 4 year medical degree, you already talked about that. So we did talk about the prerequisite, the undergrad, then take the MCAT. Then after that, you go for the 4 years medical degree. After that, what's next?
So after that, we have something known as matching, right? So matching basically is you apply to different hospitals where you want to work at. So you have different criteria you want to do. Maybe I want to stay in the Midwest. I want to go to the East Coast. You look at different programs and different hospitals that are around. And the second thing is that you have to choose a specialty. Usually within your third and fourth year, you pretty much should be set on a specialty that you want to go into. And over here, we have a lot of specialties, like you mentioned, orthopedic surgery, which is one I'm going into. And we have surgery of many kinds, even surgery. We have general surgery, neurosurgery, plastic surgery. So we have all of these specialties. And you choose and select which one you want to go into, and you apply. Say, if I want to go to Mayo Clinic for orthopedic surgery, I applied to the orthopedic surgery residence to be like, hey, next year I'll be done with medical school. I want to, start my training over here, training to specialize. That's what we call specialization. Because in medical school, you do every rotation, and you're exposed to every different rotation that you're on. But then in residency, which is the next phase after you're done with medical school, you have to specialize. So you apply for the specialty field you want to go into, and then because for a regular job, the employer has the upper hand, right? You present yourself, oh, this is who I am, this is my CV, this is everything, and the employer chooses whether or not they want to accept you. So in order to balance out the field a little bit, they created the match system. And what the match system is that I look at this hospitals, I select, say, 20 different hospitals. And then they also look at the candidates and they offer interviews to come over into co-interviews. You interview, let's say, all the 20 different hospitals. Now, at the end of the day, you come home after you finish with all your interviews, you select which hospital you liked the most, or which, based on your exposure to them, being over there, interacting with them, talking to other people over there. Like, do you want to go work at this hospital and train at this hospital? So you make a rank list. So you rank them based on number one. My number one choice is, say, hospital A. My number two choice is hospital B. And then the hospitals also, because they saw you, they had an interview with you, they've seen how you interact, they'll also go and rank maybe Angel, I liked him out of all the other students, so he's number one. So then they tell you it goes to this whole computer algorithm. Then the computer algorithm will match. So if I ranked this hospital high and they also ranked me high, then we match. So that is what's called the matching. So at the end of the day, it's coming up soon in the next couple of days. It's called a match day. So every medical student across the United States will get a letter from whichever hospital that they matched to. And then we all open at the same time, and so everybody's happy. I think there's a couple of videos on it online. You can go on YouTube and look up Match Day. It's a very beautiful thing. And people find out they match the hospitals that they really wanted to work at, and so they're really excited about it. And some people match into the residencies that they want to go into or the specialties they want to go into, so they're really excited about it. So that's kind of how it works. Then you do your residency. And residency is a sub-specialization. It differs depending on what specialty you want to go into, but usually it's around like 3 years to even 7 years. 3 years being like family medicine, and then 7 years being like neurosurgery, which is like brain surgery. So that takes a lot of time to master it. So you take like 7 years just training to be a brain surgeon.
Wow, that's tough. So, so 4 years undergrad, 4 years medical school, that's 8. Then it can be anywhere from 3 to 7. So you're looking at a minimum of 11 to 15 years.
Yep. Yeah.
To become a medical doctor.
Absolutely. Yep.
And if I'm 52, if I'm 50 years old, so you telling me I'll be done at the age of 65 if I become a neurosurgeon and I work for 2 years and retire.
Absolutely. And the thing about it is that, there's any bright light to it is that, during residency, you are a doctor, right? Like you are a doctor.
Yeah, but you make about 60,000. You make about 45 to 60,000 a year.
Absolutely, and that's the concern about it. But then, the comeback to it is that you're basically under insurance. If anything is supposed to happen because you're dealing with human beings, you are under insurance and you're well protected by the hospital and in due right because you're your doctor in training.
So hypothetically, right? Let's do this weird math. You go to medical school, okay, hypothetically, at the age of 50, you're done with everything. Or let's say 55, you're done with everything. Just to make it weird, let's say 57, you're done with everything. Okay, you start at 42, 57, you're a neurosurgeon, right? And how much do you think you're going to be having in school loan by then as a neurosurgeon? How much are we looking at? 500,000?
That's probably on the high end. When I was looking at the numbers not so long ago, and I think the average is around 200,000 to 250,000.
For neurosurgeons.
Yeah, for basically the average medical student graduates with around like 200 to 250,000.
So this mechanic
doesn't really matter. Yeah.
This mechanic who went to medical school at the age of 52 and now he's done with everything, right? Yeah. Let's say with 13 years, that's 65. So this mechanic is gonna be working for 2 years, and let's say he's making 500,000 a year. Insurance is gonna be about $150,000. $350,000 is take home, right? And that is even post pre-tax. So post-tax is probably looking like $250 take home. How am I gonna pay that $250,000 school loan and retire in 2 years? And I'm only gonna make about $500,000 from working as a medical doctor. Or medical doctors don't retire 67 or 65. Do they retire older than that?
It depends, and I think your scenario is a very unique scenario, but in general, and I think because this is a very important topic to me, because you're going into this is a lifelong learning thing, and so I really sat down and talked to a lot of people, went in, looked at the research out there, and it was a very concerning thing for me. So just so anybody's thinking about it, and this is a concerning factor too, I think it's important to note that the average attending doctor, which is the doctor that has completed all their specialty training, typically pays off those loans within like 3 years. So it's definitely feasible, especially if you're in a surgical specialty. It's definitely doable to be able to pay back those loans. I know it looks like a lot. It's like $250,000. That's a lot of money, 250,000. But then the compensation is also it's reasonable. You know, you're already making like top 1% of earners in America, and even with the taxation and other things coming in general, you do live a comfortable life. And, I've interacted with so many doctors, and I think that's a breath of fresh air that comes along with it is that, in general, they do live a very comfortable life. And I think when I started thinking about going into orthopedic surgery, one doctor I spoke with, his name is Dr. Osborne. He had just graduated. He was about 33 around that time. And he was like, I shouldn't let this bother me at all because it was one of his biggest dread. And now looking at where he is at right now, he would have just done it without all the dread and all the concerns because he's living comfortably now. He's making payments on it. And also there are other avenues that you can go to, especially if you're in a case like that. There are programs that you can join, say public forgiveness programs. You can work at a hospital. They'll pay off your loan if you work for them for, say, I think about 10 years. So you can make a deal with them. You're getting paid. You're not working for free. You're getting paid as you would normally. But if you commit to them and stay with them for 10 years, they pay off your loans for you. There's the HPSP scholarship, which is the military. So the American Army, and till to this day, I've been getting emails from them. They'll bombard you a lot of things. You're like, hey, we're in the Army. We're looking for people to join us. We see that you're in med school. Please sign up. And the deal is that you sign up for them, and then for every year you sign up, you have to work the year in the Army. So that they'll post you to, say, Germany or Walter Reed or other places in the United States, and you work at that military hospital for the amount of time that they pay for your tuition for you.
Yeah.
We have low-income programs too as well, or not for nonprofit programs too. And part of the deal is that they'll pay all your tuition for you, but then at the end of the day, you have to choose a hospital that's in an underserved place. So it can be an inner city kids, city with a lot of crime, or maybe somewhere in a rural area where they don't see a lot of doctors and they really need doctors over there. There's definitely a lot of avenues to get, especially because I know that's a huge concern for a lot of people, to get, your loans taken care of, or, to pay them back faster if you want to. And there are different strategies that you can definitely take overall.
Beautiful, because this is the thing, right? I was a recruiter for the Air Force for about 4 years, and the HPSP, the Health Professional Scholarship Program, was actually a big deal. That was getting a lot of medical students into the program. So talking about that, I mean, that is basically you coming back in, and like you said, go to Germany, Lustel, and Lustel is the biggest hospital with the biggest facilities that we have when it comes to the military. Then Walter Reed, then the one that we have in Texas, San Antonio, another huge one as well too. Reedman, I think that is Reedman. So man, you just gave it beautiful. And the funny thing is, next week we're talking about we have one of the recruiters, or not recruiters, one of the drill sergeants from the Air Force, Danahine. He will be talking to us about just like the journey to the military and the benefit that it comes with that people don't see. Only when people in diaspora, when their kids tell them, I'm going to join the military, they're the first they freak out. But they realize that there's a whole lot of things that, I mean, we'll talk about that. And I'm going to run that program with him tomorrow. So I'm not just going to be a host, but actually also be a resource person. I'll start from the recruiting aspect that he will take over from the drill, the boot camp, how it's run, and also going into the operational military and the things that you can do to benefit better yourself. Then our mom and dads and uncles and aunties will get to know that, hey, when our kids comes to us and say they want to join the military as a career, it's not just about getting deployed and going to die, but it is more to that. It's a whole community that people don't even know. So it's beautiful that you just segue into that. So now that we have landed on the playing ground and seeing how things are running, let's talk about academics. Because coming from Ghana, right, when we hear somebody's pursuing medicine, The first thing that comes to mind, this dude is going to be studying 14 hours a day. This dude study with the feet in the bowl of water. Go from like O2 mining, Ankasa. Basically, this dude is a whole galamsey project this person is on. Is it the same over here, or is it because resources? Because medical students in Ghana and medical students in America is two different paths. Because I know some people again that were average students in Ghana and actual medical doctors over here. And in Ghana, you cannot be a medical doctor if you're an average student. You have to pretty much be with the top and the elite to actually make that. If you really average and you can make it to, that means you just switch over your educational pattern, your learning capabilities and pattern, and you just have a different source of power and keep backing that is influencing you to get it done. But over here, because of the resources, because of the mentorship, and because of the programs available, like you said, makes it a little bit, I won't say easier because it's not easy. Makes it a little bit feasible for you to actually maneuver through. So talk to us about the struggles you went through, the sleepless night. I mean, be real about it so that people can understand that it's not all just gravy, but it comes with dedication and hard work.
Yeah, no, definitely, and I share that sentiment with you too, because Milwaukee, Ghana, no, I went to Prempeh, like I said, and it takes a lot to get in there, and you're basically seeing people from all over Ghana who are very, very smart and very, very bright. And so, and you're maybe, like I think somebody just said, is mining. Your legs are in water. You're studying all throughout the night, just to pass your WASI exams and other things like that. Over here, it's a little different. I would say that the approach to questions are a lot different. Over in Ghana, we emphasize a lot on memorization and not enough about knowledge inducing or creating your own form of knowledge and applying it in different ways. Over in Ghana is like every child be able to what is it now? Obetima culture easy. And that was the name of a person. Obisano, like any further questions, be twisting it a different way. It's very hard to come out of it. And I think that with most of you are familiar, think the lady now hosted National Maths and Science quiz, no, because these kids
Dr.
are
Kaufman.
really, Dr. Kaufman, yeah. She was talking about how these kids are very brilliant, the smartest of the smartest. And they went to a competition in Portugal. And the kids could not even understand the questions that were given to them because over there, the quizzes are different. They're not, what is X times 2 plus 2 plus 4 is equal to, then what can answer. No, it's more like more application questions. And I think that's where over here they have a leg up on us. Because in Ghana is like it's rote memorization into wow you're more like stringent it's not a reading book to memorize and you do very very well in Ghana, but over here although you need to know a lot of things, it's more of having the grounds to interpret what is being given to you. And I say over here at medical school we emphasize a lot on research because it's not enough say acetaminophen a cure any inflammation or anything like that. You should be able to understand the pathway and also apply it in such a way so you do a research project on it and figure out what markers, how you can twist it, how you change it, under what conditions work better, under what conditions work worse. It's like the nitty-gritty of it all. They really, really focus on it over here. And over here, you cannot even like basically apply for residency or go through medical school without having done some form of like intense research and publishing meaning like to watch your whole paper with like experimentation and everything. You put it out there and scientists from all over peer review it. If they can replicate it, they do the research to see before they publish it, and then you have it in your name. Say, so and so has contributed to the body of science as we know it. Until 20 years from now, 10 years from now, be to me online who said, does this thing do this or that? Or to me, who paper now can say, to way a research who says saying see until I cannot use it to apply to other things I'm doing. And that's one thing that they really, really emphasize over here. In Ghana, you can definitely go through medical school or why a doctor without even having to do any form of research in that sense. It's not like a stringent requirement as it is over here. So think back to your question. It's basically a pro and con. Because Meba has said and realizes that for subjects that are like math based algebra, like things like your chair or like high school, like yeah, baba no Diego, like I really excelled in it easily. But as we moved on later on doing like the 400 level courses, the more application questions, almost me too. Share the way I'll be answer question now. Now I'm surprised because I'm like, wow, I didn't even think about it in that manner and in that sense, no crampo. It didn't even occur to me. So yeah, and no, the so and with the question, like I said, we see a lot of like people are more maybe I know when you're good with Ghana, no. And I say quote unquote, because so no one should I know Ghana, but I say no, I think say it also has to do with the system, and that's one thing because Ghana, no, we only support the students that are doing well in your class because teacher never class boy no yeah they were class and only focus on it. What they obu ha opijan and sakra and I said teacher never be a question. What's the student in here say, oh, I don't know, be that way, only, So usually we leave a lot of people behind. Meanwhile, and yes, they don't have the capacity. They absolutely have the capacity to be what they want to be. But has advisor, or counselor, or be or go through the process with you until you call and say, oh, I'm having problems with it. Oh, okay, remember tutoring hours. It's like basically no man is left behind into regardless of baby how Fabiano, they take that time with you and coach you and help you. Into most of the people are no more Ghana, they were experiencing that thing, say, yeah, they weren't really paid attention to, they weren't focused on, Ghana, especially about what's 2 times 2 4, only man near boat, that kind of thing. We're basically taught to like we're your chair out of fear and out of like pressure. But I said, oh, but now realizing I was like, oh, like exams. I think that I may catch my say my first exams I what I say near invigilator company or be here so almost honor system say or be new or shows into honor system one kasa what we are now the people kwatwa now I'm like yo this is insane, this is crazy, I've never seen anything like this before. So I think the system not really supports a lot of people over here that we don't necessarily have in Ghana. But then at the bottom line of it all, the work is a lot. It's a lot of work. Right now, I think I looked at my schedule and I should be averaging at least like 40 to 40, 50 hours a week just studying, not even like class or anything like that or clinical rotations, just sitting over there studying, doing questions and everything like that. So it's definitely not easier over here. It's a lot of work. You have a lot of information to deal with, a lot of concepts to know about, a lot of drugs, a lot of medications, so many things that it's definitely you definitely have to learn. So, and yeah, easy way, yeah, but then no, there are pros and cons. Yeah, you might be easy, but I say, but and then man, you might be share them with Ghana, so sad.
Wow. Okay. We almost there. We're getting there. So, how far is the journey with you right now?
So no, maybe my first curriculum, my first curriculum in team, no, my second year, yeah, I come in 2 years, semester.
So 2 years to go. Has there be any time you feel like I want to give up?
Definitely. I think so a couple of times. Sometimes you think about it, and I'm like, is this even worth it? And that's a normal experience to have. But then, when you look back at it, it's absolutely I'm humbled that even coming this far is just crazy to have thought about it. Because I went through a whole lot of phases, especially through undergrad, being over here, a whole lot of other things, that came and diverted my pathway a little bit. But then at the end of the day, when I go in to see a patient. Last time I think I was in a case and it was a little kid that had come in over for the 2 year shots and minimum man the shots and all, just communicating with them and they're so glad. "Ne ma me hwɛ me," say, oh, I think so you should go into pediatrics because the way she's so happy with you and everything, I've never seen her like that before. And I feel like those moments are the moments that you really cherish and you're like, oh my God, like this is really amazing, making such a difference in other people's lives in that sense. In the ER or other things like that. People come in and they think they're gonna die. But then just, being that person that's able to be there, hold your hands, seeing through that, they're able to get through whatever they're going through. I think it's definitely, I'm in a position that not many people in the world can say they have been. I think you see people at the most vulnerable moments, when, nobody in the world cares about it. people confess things to you. They talk about how their biggest regrets that they've had with their lives, what they thought they should have done better, and it really gives you a whole new perspective on life in general. I think over the past few years, I've been really molded, and my outlook on life has really, really changed just from being in the medical field alone. So I definitely don't take this for granted. I don't take it for granted at all. I think I'm very privileged and very honored to be in this position, and definitely looking forward to what's to come for me in the future.
Beautiful. Is there this specialty that you have in mind you're looking to match?
Yeah, orthopedic surgery.
Okay.
So yeah.
Why that?
I like sports per se. I played rugby in college. I shadowed an orthopedic surgeon for about 3 years. I used to work with him as a scribe. So basically, when I worked with him, I'd go into the room with him, and as he's talking, because they found out that doctors were spending so much time typing their notes and everything rather than actually focusing on the patient. So they came up with this job position known as a scribe. And sidebar, if if you got a kid in college or something like that, and they're thinking about going to medicine, that's a great, 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 great opportunity to get yourself involved with being a scribe. So you go in, the doctor will say, okay, this is so patient, 29 years of age. They're coming in for a shoulder injury. This is what happened. And you're the one that's typing in all the information and everything. They'll tell you the exam. They'll be like, okay, rotation is 2 degrees off, or whatever. They have this gait. They walk with a limp. And you're just basically a fly on the wall in the room, and you're typing it out. And just seeing that experience, I think it has the work-life balance that I want. First of all, it's like, they get to do their job. They get to go home, really have time with their family, enjoy their time with their family. And it's a very fulfilling field. Like, people come in for hip replacement, knee replacement, or arthritic hips, knees, shoulders, joints, everything in general. And they basically fix them under 2 hours. They go through surgery. They put in a new hip, a new back, even for like disc replacements in the back. And some of them, right after surgery, they start to walk. And I basically think it's a more or less divine experience. Making the lame walk is definitely something biblical that has to do with it. So definitely seeing that was something that really sparked my interest, and I was like, wow, this is absolutely what I want to get into. And I see myself doing it. So
Nice.
eventually, yeah.
So speaking of the scribe, right?
Yeah.
A funny joke just came in mind, and nothing personal. So is it more like modified, upgraded, old school typewriter?
Basically, yeah. And
Because
that's what you do.
back in the days, if you have to go talk to any boss, you have to see the secretary, and they have
Right,
this huge typewriter over there, type,
right.
pull, type. Wow. All right. So
Yeah.
that was on the lighter note. Now, how many years is that orthopedic surgeon residency? Is that a residency? No, specialty.
Yeah, so specialty. So orthopedic surgery specialty is basically, if you want to train to be an orthopedic surgeon, it takes 5 years.
5 years.
Yeah.
I know a guy. I know a doctor friend who is an orthopedic surgeon. I'll probably link him up with you so that you can add
Absolutely,
him
I'd
to your
appreciate
mentorship.
that. Yeah,
And he likes to talk about his job too. Like,
yeah,
just ask him "Good morning, how you doing?" and he would start telling you about his day and his job.
yeah,
And I think you guys would do good when it comes to knowing more. The way you talk and the way it's inspiring and charming, right? For those who wants to be in that same field. Do you think, have you ever thought about having a vlog or a blog to talk about your day in life when it comes to what you do to motivate others to actually go watch your videos?
sure. Yeah, I have thought about it for a little bit, and just have a regular TikTok that I just do random videos on it, that I post like personal training stuff, because I'm also a certified personal trainer. So, but then I really have thought about putting my experience out there, especially for Black men in medicine. And this is a point I'd like to highlight, that the amount of Black men in medicine is basically the lowest out of every ethnic group in America here. I think the number in 1960 it was about like 4%. In 2014, it came down to 3.6% or so. And right now, even like almost decades after, is still about 4%. So it's definitely a field that we're very, very lacking.
Mm-hmm.
And we want people to, come into, especially if you're a Black man in medicine. I did some work in undergrad, and I called the psychology and schema of Black men trying to apply to medical school. And over here, I think we did a survey on a couple of kids that are around there, and we're trying to figure out what they view as success, what they think is a successful person is. And most of them, and disclaimer, was like inner city kids. The school was filled with a lot of like Black and brown kids, and majority of them were highlighting what the idea of success was a rapper or an athlete of some sort, so a basketball player or a rapper of some sort. And so we're trying to do the math on it, and it was like, and I know you like the math on this. So here's, you were talking about the mechanic. The average, say, athlete, so NBA or NFL, right? You have to go to college and everything like that. When you get drafted, if you get drafted in the first place, the average NFL player, NBA player, let's say make $1 million, is 900 and something thousand, but then say a million, let's make it 1 million. The average span of an NBA or an NFL player is somewhere around 3 to 5. So that's how long they play for. So basically,
I think his line froze. We're gonna be reading your comments very soon. Please get your comment in, and I'm gonna be reading your comments in 2 minutes. Yes, go ahead. Go ahead. I think you froze.
So basically, if you're going to the NFL, and these are people, that we think they're successful, they're at the peak of their careers and everything like that. The end of career income is about 7 million or 8 million, right? For a physician, you far career, and you times it times 2 more as you're going forward in your career. So the average physician that is working a job, a 9 to 5 job, being a physician, actually at the end of their careers, they do earn more and are definitely more successful than the average, say, NFL player, NBA player that we're seeing around. So just to put things into perspective, I think that's what shapes a lot of people's minds about what they view as, stability, having a family. And people are, oh my God, it takes too long. I just want to go over and just do this or something like that. But at the end of the day, it's definitely a long-term game, but it pays off overall at the end.
Right. So he did talk about the fact that he's a personal trainer. So just so you guys know, in 3 weeks, so next week we have the military talk. The week after next week we try to get a lawyer in to have talk about immigration. The week after that, so the end he's doing the beginning and the end of March. So the end of March he's gonna be treating weight management on the 25th of March. So please, those of you that just joined, just bear in mind. Angel will be coming back on the 25th of March to deal with weight management. Angel, before I go into reading the questions, right? Let's look into the aspect of the money wise. Okay, people making all this money in medicine, and also the statistics that you just gave us, depending Black men in medicine. Could it be that medicine now is having a competitor in terms of IT? Because it looks like all the kids that wanted to do medicine are now thinking about going into IT. Is IT a threat to medical school? Now, before you answer the question, is the AI system that is coming into medicine also going to probably be a fear for medical doctors in the future, whereby your jobs will no longer be needed? After that, then we're gonna read the comments and the questions.
Yeah. So I think IT has definitely been a competitor. Obviously, we have a lot of people that you go on Reddit, which is like it's a forum where we have people from all over talk about their experiences, and we have people that are like, oh my God, I just got into my school. My younger brother, just got into this. I don't know if there's a term for it, but then
coding, developing,
like a software engineering job, and they're looking at stocks and everything, and they're really making good money out of it. At the end of the day, too, I think it doesn't really do away with it, but then obviously in the upfront, it looks very lucrative. Like, oh my God, you just right out of college or right out of boot camp, and people are with very little experience, they're making very decent money. Med school, of course, is like I said, it's a long-term game, but what comes along with it is the stability of it. And I don't think you can say that a lot for IT these days. I think there's been a lot of like mass layoffs recently. All the big tech companies, Netflix, Google, all these
Amazon.
people. Yo, yeah, I know a lot of friends, that well, I was like, oh my God, maybe I should get into it. But right now they're like, oh man, maybe I should have listened to you because right now I'm looking for a job. And I feel like there's that sentiment that they're always trying to look for something better. And there's always that they don't have that sense of stability in their jobs because at the end of the day, they could be cut off with zero notice. Some of them will be like, okay, I have a call, let's hop on the call. And they're like, oh, we're starting now. We no longer need you for services. And I think that's a very dreadful thing to have in a career for me personally. With medicine, the stability that comes with it is unmatched. The protections that come with it is unmatched. You're very well shielded. If something happens, the hospital has an army of lawyers that protects their medical doctor because you're basically an asset to them. You're what draws their customers in. People don't come to a hospital to come see the manager or come see the CEO. They come see the doctor. So they definitely treat you with that light and treat you with that respect. So that job stability, and of course, you're very well compensated, especially if you're an attendant and such like that too. So like I said, it has its pros and cons depending on what field you want to go into. But in the future, I don't really see it. I see it like leveling up, but I don't really see IT particularly overtaking medicine in terms of like job satisfaction, job security, and compensation overall.
What about the AI?
AI, I think there are some fields that have a threat to it. Radiology, for one, because it's basically reading images. So, what a radiologist does, for those of us that are not really sure what it is, so a radiologist, you take CT scans, you take X-rays, and they read it because it can be a little bit shady. So they can read it and be like, "Oh, I see a mass by this length and this height, and it looks like this shape." And it has metastasized over here. They give a read-in basically on what the CT scan or the MRI or the X-ray basically took. And right now, even right now as I speak, 2024, there are programs that can look into those images, and computers are really great at pattern recognition. They're the masters of pattern recognition. They can look at the programs and read the images and figure out they can see a cancer or an early cancer. There's some computers that can determine early onset of cancer like years in advance by just reading an image. So you can
Wow.
take a and they can look at it and be like, there's a likelihood of cancer to develop in this area or something in that area. So that's definitely a threat to like the field of radiology. But even that, I think what it does is that it moves up the threshold a little bit. So right now, maybe you have to go into like a subspecialty of radiology, like interventional radiology, where you do other things just other than just reading scans and other things like that. But at the end of the day, even with as advanced as AI is right now, hospitals do not want liability to fall on the computer because that comes at a major loss to them. It's very in terms of liability. So even if there's an AI to read it, you're gonna need a doctor to sign off on it and be like, okay, I agree with this, or I do not agree with this, or override it, because computers do make mistakes sometimes. So, um, yeah. So, and then there's some threat to medicine in general, but it's not. First of all, it's not really like significant. And if anything, the place where I see it really affecting anybody is in radiology.
Okay, thank you very much. So Millicent Mensa says on Facebook, she was like, "What are some of the schools to apply to? Do you have an idea? Some of the schools that'll be, I wouldn't say easier, but would be much more better to apply to."
Yeah. So I think for medical school, it's very
Oh,
mission
matter of fact, the school that you are in right now, that is where my friend went to school at.
Oh yeah.
Michigan State, right? Yep,
Yeah.
that's what Dr.
Yeah.
Osei went.
Oh
Yeah.
wow. Then I definitely have to connect with them.
Yep.
But yeah, so the schools differ a lot. Like of course, depending on the number of applications. So just to give you a tidbit, we have like for my class, we had like 10,000 people apply. And out of that 10,000, they only offered, they cut it all down to 500, and they offered 500 people interviews. And at the end of the day, they only chose like about 150. Some classes is even worse than that. They have like 10,000 or 12,000 people apply, and at the end of the day, they only choose like 60 or 70. So medical school in general, as it is very competitive. And what they're looking for is that they want somebody that fits their mission or their goal. So every school, if you go on their website or something like that, they'll have their mission. So Michigan State would say, oh, we're a very community-focused institution. So they're very like, going to underserved areas, looking at, places that are in dire need of medicine and doctors. So when your mission or your story or your vision aligns with that, it really makes it easier for you to get in. Some people want to do research. They want to go into like top
like the
research,
scientist.
like a scientist, MD, PhD program where they're like figuring out the next cure for cancer or something like that. And institutions like, say, Stanford would be great for that kind of person. So like, okay, we're looking for the physician scientist that's going to be looking into these like high class specialty niche topics and things like that. So for that, it would be a lot helpful for you to apply to. There are students, I can't even necessarily say it's a numbers game. The numbers is given. Everybody is smart. Everybody's doing great numbers. Everybody has a high GPA. Everybody has a great MCAT. So what really sets you apart, or what puts you apart from the numbers, is that what you are doing other than going to school, doing your homework, and coming back home and doing and studying. So if anything, I'd say when you're choosing a school to apply, look at what you've done so far. Or you say an academician, so you want to go into academics. Do you want to practice in a more community-based institution? Do you want to work in, say, an underserved area? And look for those schools. So you can basically Google medical schools that focus on underserved regions. There have been medical schools that focus on global health. So say if I want to have to get my medical license, I want to go to Ghana and do some work over there, and I want a school that has that. Over here we do have programs with Ghana, and actually next year I will be going to Ghana and we'll be doing like a program like that. So it's like the medical school very much determines what their strategy is or what their goal is. Very much determines if they're going to accept you or not. I hope you get what I mean.
That makes a lot of sense. So in this case, what about those that go to the Caribbeans and also the Philippines and come back and continue? Can you tell us about that route a little bit? Then I'll go to the next question.
To get into. The bar is set a little bit lower, so you can get in with a fairly decent GPA or MCAT or less extracurricular activities. But then at the end of the day, the goal is to be able to come back and practice over here as a medical doctor. So the advice I'd have for anybody in general is that, and I think this is supported by even people that are in the system right now in the Caribbean medical schools, is that if you can get into medical school in the U.S., it's absolutely worth the effort and the struggle to actually start over here in the U.S. rather than going over to the Caribbean.
Okay, so let's go to Otaibo Media says mining. I think he was echoing on when we are talking about Sawutu mining. He was like, I remember a good program, keep it up. Ella goes, Chu and Paul in Ghana. Here it is more about applying what you have learned. True. Then director goes, it is lucrative. It is very, very lucrative. That I agree. iPhone Akofa Mote says, great program and eye opener. Auntie Amelia says, I joined late. Any statement on studying BSN? Um, so is it BSN, then doing BSN to go into medical school or what? Auntie Miller, can you break it down a little bit for us? The Xbox 9115 says, is the meeting being recorded? I need it, and I believe most of here will want to rewatch it. Yes. So Xbox, it is on. Oh, okay. Producer has already responded to you, so you can rewatch it on HITV, and you can also watch it on HITV on YouTube and also Facebook, and also on the Tatap Send main Tatap Send Ghana main Facebook page. It is on that too. So please, on all these three platforms, you can have it on it. Comfort Wampon says, is there any age limitations for medical school? Oh, he did actually answer the question. Okay, so the producer has already responded. Helena Quatin says, I have a question on Tatap. Who do I call a message, please? Producer is ahead of me. So I'm just gonna go to Mauli Nuchuga. Mauli Nuchuga says, great presentation, thank you. Go back to Facebook again just to make sure I'm not missing out on anybody. But as we're about to wrap up, Alex Frederick Ajamai says, it is a dominant field due to its duration and lucrative. So yes, just like you said. So I think he's actually agreeing with you on that. Make sure I'm not missing anybody's comment. Want to make sure all the comments are being asked. All right, so if anybody has any comments or contribution, you can please unmute yourself. We have about 7 minutes to wrap up, so 5 minutes for our questions and answers, then 2 minutes for him to give us his final summary. Then after that, we'll just hand over the show to Tatap Send for all Q&A questions concerning Tatap Send, using Tatap Send. So please, you can unmute yourself and ask any questions that you have at this point, or contribution in case you want to add on to what he just said briefly. Whilst we're waiting for people to unmute themselves to speak, so my question to you, and that probably might be my last but one or last question, is in as much as you'll be looking towards this, so you're in your second year, you have 2 more years. After that, you got residency. How many years is residency? 3 years?
5.
Residency quite 5 years. No, not specialty. I'm talking about the residency.
Yeah, so residency, no one specialty. So obi or residency or a doctor or trainee for that specialty.
Okay.
So you can ask a residency Ben away because me orthopedic surgery residency.
So that becomes a specialty. So
yeah,
so you have 7 more years to go.
Basically, yeah.
7 years. 7 years. I'll almost be hitting 50 by then. Wow. Okay. Wow. And more grease to your elbows. I'm really, I love to see people do this when it comes to education, academics. So those of us who are not going to school, what is your advice to us? Yeah, you say because school. Advice they say.
Definitely, I think so. I'll say, and I say this in tree. I think a lot of people I've been speaking to a lot of lately. People fear so much to go for what they want to go for in general because they're scared of what may be. And I think it's a common theme, be it medicine or anything like that. They're scared. Oh, what if I fail? Oh, it's too long. It's too far away. It cannot be. What would people think? I think that's the major bad thing. People are so scared to even go apply for something because they're scared people might see them trying to do good for themselves or putting themselves out there or trying to do better for themselves. And I think that's a very not a great mindset to have. This is everybody's first time of living life. Nobody's an expert at anything that nobody's like an expert of living life twice. We're all going through the same at the same pace. And so, although some people might have had experience in one field or the other, we're all learning at our own pace and on our own different fields. So, my general principle and outlook on life is to go for what you want and to go for it with all your might and with all your capabilities. I think when I started doing this, I'm like, oh my God, by the time I'll be done, I'll be about 32. Damn, that's a long time. Like, I don't know. But now I'm thinking as I'm getting closer and closer, I'm like, damn, I really thought 32 was really old. But now I was like, it's really nothing. So it's like, the time is gonna pass anyways. The time, regardless of what you want to do. I know people that are thinking about, I think somebody mentioned BSN. They're like, oh, I want to go from LPN to BSN, but I'm not sure it's gonna take a lot of time. At the end of the day, the time is gonna come and go. So if you want to do anything you want to go for, just go for it and start right now. And definitely wish for the best and put yourself out there 100%. And yeah.
I have this doctor send me a private message. I think he didn't want to ask the question on Facebook or on Zoom, but I know he's watching us on Zoom. So I'm just gonna read it and not mention his name because since he didn't put it over there, I would think he want to be anonymous on that. So he's asking, you did talk about 4 years undergrad, 4 years medical school, and anywhere from 3 to 7 years residency, putting you at 11 to 15 years, right? So is it possible, now this is a question, is it possible one can start taking high school college credits and do 2 years of prerequisite for med school instead of going to do biology? Do 2 years of prerequisites for pre-med, go into medical school and get done in 3 years instead of 4 years, making it 5 years, and doing the residency 3 years, making it 8 years. So basically, cutting it short from 11 to 15 to 8 to 12. Is it possible?
Generally, I think it's definitely possible, but the amount of work that would entail.
And before you answer, right, I'm not setting you up because the person that asked me a question, like I said, he's a medical doctor too. So for him to ask me that question, I feel like he has an answer to it, but he probably wants to hear your opinion. And I don't know if that was his story or that was his journey, but I just want to let you know, so whatever that you answer, you're not going to be held to with just answer based on your experience.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I said, some people do take like college credits, and in high school. So by the time they get to college, they already have their college credits. So they're done like faster or earlier, sometimes 1 year, sometimes 2 years earlier than what the traditional pathway will take. And I would even add to that and say there's some programs called the BSMD programs. So right from high school, if you get into a BSMD program, it's 6 years, then you're done with both your undergrad and your medical school degree. So instead of the 4 years, you do all of them in 6 years. And it's here in America. There's some programs like that. It's called the BS/MD program. So that's also another way to kind of cut it short by at least 2 years. And like you said, the college credit programs is also a great thing. And in med school, I don't know if there's any significant way to go around it. You can be done with your courses early, but your graduation time will not move necessarily. I know people get done a little bit like say end of third year, early fourth year. So they take basically 8 months or nine months just chilling, traveling,
charity
around,
work,
doing things and enjoying life. They're done with their like requirements and prerequisites, but then they haven't technically like graduated. The graduation time, like I said, the match day is set for everybody, unless maybe if you're in the military or ophthalmology, which has slightly different times where you announce your match day. But then everybody in general, the average person in medical school, and the large majority of people in medical school have to graduate within the timeline that they came in.
All right.
So yeah, there are some ways, like I said, the BSMD program, you can take college credits in high school as well to kind of cut the time down short.
Cool.
But yeah.
So Nene, Nina F says, thank you for sharing your journey and experience. Best of luck in your educational path. So at this point, it looks like everybody's pretty much satisfied with your presentation. So the questions are not much, especially the verbal questions. So I'll ask of you to just, run it up, give us your quick 1 minute, final words. Then we will sign you out on this show.
Absolutely. Well, yeah, thank you very much for having me. I think this is medicine in general is a very, very, very phenomenal field to be in. Like I said, I'm very happy. The journey has not been really easy at all in any degree of the word. It's been very hard. I've definitely, thought about it. Is this even right for me? Do I quit? I've had my second thoughts. I've had my doubts in the process as I've been through it. There are some nights that I've literally cried and be like, oh my God, I came all this way over here. And, this pathway is too difficult. And this is such a long road. And what am I doing? And other things like that. But at the end of the day, I found some resolute and some understanding and some comfort in the fact through it all, it's absolutely been worth it. If I'm supposed to go back and do it all again, I would 100% choose medicine all over again. And so that goes without saying. If you're thinking about it, if there's some concerns that you may have, uh, please feel free. And I'm not sure if I can give PK my
No,
contact.
no, you can put it in the chat right now, or you can tell me. I'll put it in the chat right now. Whatever you want me to put in.
Yeah. So my email is angelprempeh14@gmail.com. ANGEL Prempeh PREMPEH 1414 @gmail.com. You can shoot me an email.
You said gmail.com, right?
At gmail.com.
Hold on. So your last name is Prempeh. You went to Prempeh.
Yeah, when I was in Prempeh and I went to Prempeh.
Bars.
14 I'm on Instagram as Angelsgram, ANGELS, then GRAMM, Angelsgram. You can shoot me a message on there. If you want to talk about getting into medicine or any tips or tricks, I'm definitely more than happy to go into that. But then
What is the Instagram again?
ANGELSGRAMM, Angelsgram.
Oh, Angelsgram. Okay.
Yeah.
Just that.
But yeah, Angelsgram. So definitely, it's a definitely great field that I think everybody, if you're thinking about it, should definitely consider it and look into getting into. If not, and if you want to go into something else, please feel free. To the parents out there, I feel like it's very important to expose your children to medicine in general. Try to get them to shadow a doctor or your primary care physician or something like that. Ask them to see if it would be okay for them to shadow them for a day or two, and just to have an idea if they're interested in. But if they have a specialty in some field, I think in the African household, we look down especially on the art field and the creative field. If you have a child that's absolutely interested in that, please nurture that field, support that person, and push them through it. Thank you very much for
All right.
having.
Don't leave yet. So we have two more for you. And I promise that'll be the last. So iPhone 96 says that very articulate. Thank you for sharing. And also, Antimilia goes, can you please share your number? I think that's what you share your email for, right? So you love to be contacted on email, that number, right?
Yeah.
You don't want people bugging you as you're studying, right? Try to run away from that. But honestly, I think when they email you and it's something that you really have to call them, you will probably get the contact and call them just to make sure. So please don't blow our people off. Our viewers are the reason why we do this. When they contact you as a resource personnel and you have the time, please give them the audience. This is why we do this. Last question for you to go. So this question is also another anonymous question, and is asking: Are you religious? If you're religious, are you a Christian, Muslim, or traditional worshiper? Which one are you? Then I can give you the follow-up question.
So I am religious. I'm Christian.
You're Christian.
My full name is Angel Gabriel Adjuman Prempeh. So.
Oh wow.
Yeah, definitely. So.
So that is what the GA stands for.
The GA is Angel Gabriel Adjuman Prempeh. So.
Oh. Okay, so now the follow-up question is: did medical school change your perspective on Christianity or religion? Did it change your perspective? Like, are you all like, this is all science? There's nothing, this everything is scientific. There's nothing miraculous to it, or there's nothing biblical to. Do you have that impact? Because a lot of people have that kind of myth about, when you go into medicine, you think people were brought out of I was about to say revolution, not revolution, but Basically, the military is so much into my mind. Do you think that people, evolve through time from animals to human beings? Does it have that impact on you? That would be your last question. That you'll be done.
Yeah, I think the field of medicine is it's I think last month or so we're talking about physiology and we're talking about basically muscle movements. So for you to just move your hand like this and it seems so insignificant, the process it has to go through is so phenomenal.
In a
Your brain,
microsecond.
yeah, yeah, microseconds. Your brain has to send a neurochemical pathway. That neurons has to be fired all throughout your spinal cord. It has to come all over, whether it's supposed to go to C7 or C6. It comes over, it releases some neurotransmitters on it. The neurotransmitter attaches to a receptor. The receptor attaches to another receptor. It releases more calcium in there. The calcium goes into form calmodulin. Calcium calmodulin binds to PKA. PKA will bind to actin and
Oh, so I'm in there.
so yeah, so that's a lot.
I heard PK, so I'm in there, right? I'm in the
Right,
process.
you're in there.
Okay. I just want to make sure.
That PK is protein kinase, but PK is so definitely, and I'm talking about this and it sounds so long, but it just happens just like that. And we really take it for granted. And just looking at that, it definitely has to be designed of some sort, the intricacies of our hand, the anatomy. We're doing anatomy not so long ago, moving our hands, the muscles,
The
groups,
modals.
body, our thought process, the fact that we feel a sense of touch. When we tell you the chemical, the pathway that it has to pass through, it's so long. Before it goes over there, it will go over to your brain. It will decussate to some point in your spinal cord. It will go through the thalamus. Your brain, so your left side of your body is being sensed by your right side of your brain. Then it will process it as light touch, soft touch, and these are very intricate things but we go about our lives doing everything like the process of human formation, an embryo, common cell, sperm and an egg cell coming together, fusing together, forming blastocytes, all those things coming together over time. And I think for it to have happened by just chance is very, very minimal. I feel like, and I think one person said this, that it takes a lot of faith to believe that it happened by just chance, that to actually believe that there's a creator that designed it, because this is very articulate.
There is a creator that designed it. Thank you very much, Angel, for breaking this down. And I think that answers the question that was really. I knew said you were trying to be diplomatic about it, but still, you'll be able to give us a good answer to it. Thank you very much for coming. I'll let Dr. David sign you out. Then, on that note, after you're done talking to him, you'll be good. I will catch you offline, and we're gonna talk more about it. I can't wait to see you back in 3 weeks. Dr. David, over to you.
Angel, thank you so much. I think I put a remark that saying that is lucrative when you are very agnostic when you're talking about orthopedic surgery. Come on, it's capital behind it. That's the reason behind it. I mean, it's super lucrative. I recently had, a couple of years ago, I had stem cell knee surgery where they had transferred the cells and biopsy. So yes, it's very profitable. It's not cheap. And again, thank you so much. I think you shared a lot of insights that, how do I put it? You shared a lot of insights that a lot of parents may not necessarily pay attention to, as to how time consuming it could be for the journey to go to medical school. And I don't know if anybody has been through this, but a lot of times if you don't pass a particular exam or you don't get into a certain school, people take it personal. It's not lack of inadequacy or anything. It's just how competitive certain markets are. So I think you've highlighted a lot of things that will put people's minds to rest. And thank you for making the time. I mean, say you have 60 hours to go crank out. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
But thank you.
I got my laptop on standby right now.
Exactly. Thank you. And good luck, man. Good luck. Thank you so much for coming and sharing your journey. And yes, thank you again.
All right. So at this point, those of you on Facebook and YouTube, this is where the journey ends for us. And this was the journey to medical school with Angel Gabriel Ajimai Prempeh of Michigan State University, and he has given us his story. So please, let's meet again next week on the same platform for another interesting topic, the journey to military. And we're going to look into all the myth and also the facts and the benefits associated with it. And At this point, we're going to hand over to Tata Sen for the Q&A section. And if
Can I
any,
ask one question
oh yes,
before we?
oh I think he left, but go ahead and ask your question. Go ahead.
No, I'm late, but the time seems to close. So the
Uncle,
name
it's
is
okay.
Emmanuel.
It's okay.
Yeah, my name is Emmanuel Ninakwa. I'm speaking from the New York Bronx. As you see, I'm at the medical health field now. Uh, my son is a registered nurse in Ghana, and I did talk to him this afternoon. He said he's been specialized in orthopedic. That means the operation room. Let me say he wants to do the masters. I don't know whether I didn't come to meet what was going on, but he wants to do masters here with some school. Though I filed for him, but it's taking a long time. Is there any chance that Angel can help somebody to get to the university and do masters here, or is there any help that I can get from anybody there?
So Angel put up his email in the chat. So I think it would be a good opportunity for you to just email him. I think the email is I typed it myself. I need to go find it and tell you. So it's Angel, hold on, Angel Premper 14 at gmail.com. So if you're an Arsenal fan and you like Thierry Henry, his number was number 14. So Angel Premper 14 at gmail.com. So just email him and tell him the story, and he'll probably get back to you on that one. Okay.
All right.
Thank you very
so
much. Thank you, boss.
On this note, I would like to thank my brother. I've forgotten the name. I was complaining about how TapTap blocked me of complaining somebody's trying to scam me. But my brother worked on it for me, so I'm now using the TapTap.
Thank you very much, Emmanuel. That is awesome.